Hello and welcome to Cinema 104, Film History. We're covering film from 1945 all the way up to the present day. You'll like that part. So hello, my name is Rob Dew. I will be your professor for this course. This is the orientation video. You're watching this to basically have the course explained. I'm going to go over everything that we're going to cover, talk about what we're dealing with, and hopefully get you excited for the course. So let's get to it. First off, this is an Intersession course. Now, if you haven't taken an Intersession course before, I want to remind you that this is only 4 weeks. It's a very condensed amount of time. We're taking what is normally a 16-week semester and condensing it into 4. So that means we're going to have 3 homeworks due a week. So I hope you're really prepared to get cracking on this course. Okay, I've tried to space it out and make it as easy as for you as possible, but you have to be on top of it. That's number one. You really can't fall behind in an Intersession course. I will accept late work, of course, but you better keep up because there's a lot of work that's coming your way in a relatively short amount of time. All right, so that's the bad news. Let's get right to the course basics. All right, so everything you need to know is provided for you in the individual class. A single class is a single module. So there's going to be the study guide. Hey, good news. You don't have to buy a textbook for the course. That's right. The study guide is your textbook for the course. It's provided. It's free. Also, the videos and the very short lectures that I've recorded for you were all in there. All right. So one class equals one module. You have a homework, and that usually covers about 5 years of film history and world history. So reminder here, we're covering American history as well as film history. We're kind of teaching the two together. We're seeing how movies influence history, and history, the events that go on, influence movies. And I've selected the movies for the class with that in mind. I particularly picked a lot of movies that show young people dealing with their families, coming of age stories, because it's something that you hopefully can relate to. All right, so we'll track that through American history and how that story and how those protagonists changed. Okay, so there are lectures, about 11 homeworks. It's 4 questions each in the homework. They're short answer, 1 to 2 paragraphs, all right? No long form essays, okay? No midterm, no final. 11 homeworks, 3 quizzes, and 3 discussions. That's the entire course, all right? So before we get any further, I just want to remind you, your first assignment is due the first day of class. Whether you're watching this before the class or watching it after the first day of class, you'll need to get on that. It's basically an introduction talking about movies and ones that you've enjoyed from the past. Okay, so that's real important. That's our first assignment. That's due day 1. It's also a check-in. It lets me know that you're on top of things, that you're in the class and you're going to be completing work. All right, quizzes are due on Sundays. All right, and one more thing, read my announcements. I post quite a few announcements as the course goes on. I'll post corrections to assignments. If a lot of students are making the same mistake, I'll mention that. I'll post some announcements about the Oscars as they come into focus, things like that. This is where I teach and guide. So as I post announcements, please read them. All right, so each week in the course, what do you got to do? All right, real quickly, you got to read the study guide. All right, you got to watch a brief lecture and try to keep those around 5 minutes. There's some other videos, also very short, 3 to 5 minutes, that explain concepts that are covered in the material as well. All right, so I don't cover everything in lecture. I thought a lot of videos do this a lot better than me just talking about it with pictures. There's also a bunch of films and film clips. I've selected 3 to 4 films every week, or every class rather, for you to watch, to focus on. There's many other films mentioned, but there's 3 to 4 that are focused on. And for each of those, I've included an explaining video. You don't have to watch the whole film in this class. I really hope you do. I really hope this class inspires you to go out and watch some of these older films and even newer ones as we get closer to modern times. But it's a survey class, so each film is explained in about a 5 to 10 minute video, and I've included some key clips so you can get the gist of the film. It may not be your type of film, but at least you know what it is. And if you do like it, you can go back and watch it another time. Okay, and then each class has a homework, which is answering those 4 questions. And in addition to that, each module has optional videos. So if you really like a topic, or there's something I didn't cover in the main information, I go into a lot of different alternative topics in the optional videos. Check those out if you really enjoy film as I do. All right. So now I want to go to a couple things. It's always best to show through examples. So um, take a look here. This is when you go into the modules, the first thing you're going to come up to, the very first thing you're going to see at the top of the page is going to be this. This is the course introduction, which is pretty similar to the letter that I sent to everyone prior to class to start. So if you read that and you're aware of that, then you don't need to read that. But if you haven't, then there it is. This is a course workflow. This will help you with how things go in the course, all right? Moving on down, we have some welcome to Canvas. If you, for example, are someone that has not had a lot of experience with online instruction, you might want to read this next thing in welcome to Canvas. Most of these things under here are just resources that you can use in the university, okay? Moving on, here's our course documents. You got your syllabus, you got the calendar, very important. This is a PDF that has all the dates, when everything's due. It's a good thing to download and save, refer to, even when you're not in the class. Here's a master list of all the featured films. You can look at that, kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. Here's the study guide. Now, each week has a study guide module. I didn't give you one whole giant study guide. Each week has its own module, okay? So that way they're smaller, the documents easier to download, so forth. But this is the table of contents, will give you an idea of what's in it. Each class contains their own study guide. And then I also have down here a list of some other information you might find important, like the appendix, which has all kinds of good ways to study for the quiz. It has lots of additional information, help with writing, lots of cool stuff about the film history and positions in Hollywood that you might find interesting. All right. Lastly, let's go to our first module. So you can't see it from the top there, but this is for the class 0, essentially the first class, which I'm calling class 0. So Introduction to Hollywood Filmmaking, that's a PDF you'll read. I think it's about 7 pages. All right. And you'll see that the study guide, well, I'm going to show you an example of the study guide in a minute, so I'll save that. This is lecture 0. This is what you're watching right now. Here's a couple other lectures. And then down here below, you have the homework. This is the check-in and movie discussion, okay? Down here, you see that. That's just simply a discussion. Let's be in the class. That's your first assignment that's due. So now I want to quickly share my screen. And we're going to go to take a look at this document, all right? Get rid of that. All right, so, oh, that's not the one I want to look at. Oh my gosh. Here we go. This is the document I want to look at. This is your study guide. All right. So I just want to go over what you're going to be dealing with here. I noticed that some students didn't know how to use it. Now, first off, you have your overview. This is a 1-2 paragraphs that kind of gives you the overview for the history that you're being covered. Then here's the actual history. Don't ignore this, okay? I've summarized kind of what was going on, just the highlights, very much like a magazine. Early 60s in America, civil rights, baby boom, some talk about fashion, all kinds of different background information letting you know what's going on in the era. Trying to make history fun though, because we're filtering it through a film and movie lens, okay? So then we move on, we go to Hollywood history. That's the next section. So we start with an overview and history, then we move on to Hollywood history. This is very key. I have key dates here. Then I have other terms and other things that are going on. Foreign influence. Whenever I talk about something in world cinema, you'll see this symbol. There's the birth of the auteur. Then the last section is called films. And this is where I list the 3, in this case 3, sometimes there'll be 4, key films that I'm focusing on that I want you to watch clips for. So we have Psycho, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and Doctor Strange for our first week. We're going to start in 1960. We're going to kind of skip over the 40s and 50s just because of the truncated schedule that we have here this semester. I think you're really going to like Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. So you'll see here I've listed why it's important, some information about the setting, and then right here, this is going to help you answer your questions right here. This is a lot of key information about the films that we'll be doing our homework on. And then I go further. Here's more information on Psycho, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and Dr. Strangelove. And then here's some other films that are really important. And then lastly, I end with a little something fun. So that's pretty much it for the study guide. I hope that was helpful to you and that you have an idea of how to use it. Because I packed a lot of information in there, but the quizzes and all the test questions come from the study guide and from those films and film clips. And the last thing I want to mention is let's not forget that um, we're learning history here. So a lot of times each of the homeworks will have a history context question. What I'm asking you there is what's going on that's influencing the films, okay? What's going on that the films are influencing? How are these two things speaking to each other? And lastly, I'm going to wrap up here with just the overview of the class. This is listed in your syllabus, and you'll also find it in the lecture in the PDF 0, the first class. Okay, so movie protagonists, our heroes, reflect the audience that goes to see them. Okay, here's some things for you to think about. All right, American cinema, American culture. Movies reflect and even create American culture. Movies reflect the societal values of the times in which they were made. That's what we study from film history, is to understand also the times through the movies. Movies often examine the past to make sense of the present. Sometimes we'll have films that go back in time, like a Western, but are actually commenting on current times. Movies made during the censorship years of Hollywood comment on issues covertly. So a lot of times they're not saying it directly, they've got to kind of be on the down low. Movies and movies and genres themes get revised, updated for a new generation. Okay, you're going to see that right off the bat with our very first set of films. We have a film called Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. You're going to see an immediate connection to another film called Get Out, which the director, Jordan Peele, took inspiration from this earlier film. So that's another thing we'll see. Science fiction films evolve, romance films evolve through the ages as the society and the history evolves here in the United States. Movies about real events often come out years later due to delays from filmmaking. So filmmaking is a slow process. So if I want to make a film about something that happened today, a big event, it would be at least 2 to 3 years before you see that film. It might be more like 5 to 10. It'll take time to get the rights. It'll take time to write the script, assemble the cast, so on and so on and so on. Very often films have a little bit of a lag time because they don't comment really well on historical events. So documentaries are better for that. So that's it. That's our brief first lecture. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you were really excited about learning about film. You can always reach out to me through email. The information is all on the website. I hope the letter has been helpful. There's a lot of information to answer a lot of obvious questions, but when I see mistakes or a lot of people ask me the same question, I'll make a post in the announcements. And lastly, reach out to me if you have a question, especially early on. Usually, if you can have success in the first week of Intersession course, you can have success throughout. So wish you all well, and let's get cracking and learning about film history. All right, thank you. Just going to stop this.